Welcome to Psycho Cinema Therapy Theater, and have I got a movie for you tonight or whenever you're consuming high quality entertainment. This movie is Army of One, starring Nicolas Cage as Gary Faulkner, a construction worker who believes God is calling him to go capture Osama bin Laden. And Russell Brand is in this movie, and in this movie he plays God, the one who put him up to it. And I know, but it's great casting. I mean, Richard Brand not only has Jesus-like hair, which fits well when he's surrounded with white light, but from time to time, it looks like some method acting might be in store here. Maybe Richard Brand really does think he's God. Anyway, great method acting. Now, there are two versions of this movie out. There's one on Tubi that's about 1 hour and 35 minutes, and then there's, you might say, the director's cut, the one that the director, Larry Charles, has truly authorized. You see, what happened was the producers of the movie, the notorious Harvey Weinstein, wanted the movie heavily edited. And so the version that you see on Tubi and other streaming channels is a standard 90-minute or so experience. Now, if you go to YouTube, you'll see a video of Army of One that is 2 hours and 40 minutes. We're talking Lawrence of Arabia epic length. Well, I knew I was going to watch both, so I decided to start out with the authorized version, the one that Larry Charles really put his thumbprint on and endorses. And then after a brief break, I went back to watch the edited version. I mean, in the epic version, there are some parts of that movie that I found very humorous, and then other parts that I found sadly disappointing. But both editions feature an end title interview with none other than Gary Faulkner, the fellow this story is based on. Yes, believe it or not, Army of One is actually based on a true story. We first see Gary Faulkner as a young kid being picked on. Russell Brand comes down to speak with him and tells him about the tragic lives those bullies will eventually lead. Years later, we see Gary working on a construction site and actually living in the construction site. He recently got divorced, so he's not exactly at his best. He runs into Marcy Mitchell, who was played by Wendy McClendon. They used to go to school together, and now, as grown-ups, with stories that will drive most people off and running, they find themselves attracted to each other and start hanging out. She has a daughter, Lizzie, who has trouble speaking, but that's okay because Gary has problems keeping his mouth closed. It's a perfect arrangement until Richard Brand, as God, re-enters the scene. He tells Gary to go to Pakistan and get Osama bin Laden, not to kill him, but to bring him back so he can stand trial for all his crimes against humanity and his crimes regarding 911. The new girlfriend doesn't question him. She looks concerned. She asks the appropriate questions, like he says he wants to hang glide into Pakistan, and has he ever hang glided before? He wants to take a boat to Pakistan. Has he ever navigated a boat before? Those questions don't disturb him at all. He goes into a sporting goods store and buys a hang glider because for some reason God doesn't want his feet touching the ground as he enters Pakistan. He takes his friends to Las Vegas so he can win money to finance his expedition. It doesn't work, so he goes to his dentist friend, played by Matthew Modine, and tells him that he needs money so he can buy an engagement ring. So he takes the money that's meant for the engagement and the wedding ring and uses it to buy a boat so he can sail to Pakistan. Well, that doesn't work, and of course the doctor winds up kicking himself for giving him money in the first place. Gary eventually goes to Pakistan, and it doesn't work out, and he comes back home, and then he goes back to Pakistan. And he spends the whole movie going to Pakistan and practically walking around aimlessly, talking to people, and then returning back to San Diego. Either way, he never makes progress on his main goal, which is to capture Osama bin Laden. Eventually, the frustration gets to him, and he thinks about quitting, but God shows up, and they argue a lot. And this is one of the major differences between the longer YouTube version and the edited version that you see on the other channels. In the nearly 3-hour version that you can see on YouTube, scenes like this go on forever, where he argues with God, argues with his friends, argues with his girlfriend, and it just keeps going on and on and on and doesn't seem to stop. And in this sense, I'm kind of like with John Waters when he said every movie can profit from editing. He kind of said that most movies have not been edited enough. And the one on YouTube, I kind of feel that way, but I do like the idea that YouTube exists. So if you do believe that somebody's wronged your movie, you can go back and show it on YouTube. So it's like one of the last bastions of free speech there. So I am glad that Larry Charles had the opportunity to put that movie on YouTube, and it's still there. Eventually, Gary does have his encounter with bin Laden, but I'll remain silent on that because I don't want to give away the whole movie. However, the ending of both versions are remarkably different, and I do want to talk about that. And if spoilers upset you, then turn off this video, go back and watch the videos, and then come back and watch. But I have to talk about the difference in the endings in both. Okay, everybody going now? Osama bin Laden is eventually killed by the Obama administration, and we see Gary and his girlfriend watching the news, and Gary just starts crying. And this is not the first time he cried in the movie. He's cried in the presence of God, and he's cried with other people before, and it's an unusual cry. And if you go watch the 3-hour version, you should get a medal if you can stick through the entire scene where Nicolas Cage just cries and cries and cries. However, suddenly God appears again on the TV and asks Gary the questions: why would they bury him at sea? Why don't they have a picture of bin Laden's body? And so suddenly the light bulb goes off in Gary's head, and he realizes his mission is not complete. The conspiracy lives on. Now, in the shorter version, he again grabs it. The conspiracy lives on and goes out to search again for Osama bin Laden. But as he's going around looking for the body of Osama bin Laden, you can tell by looking at him that he's slowly coming to his senses. And then he returns back to his girlfriend and basically says he's giving up, and he just wants to live with her and build a life, and he's through looking for Osama bin Laden. Then God calls out to him again, but this time Gary doesn't listen.